Hi, I'm Jessica Bloom. I'm a pre-service teacher. This semester I've been studying the PDHPE. This podcast is just me going through my experiences and things I've learnt within tutorials and practicals. Let's start with why PDHPE is such a valuable curriculum area. So looking at the aim within the syllabus that NESA created in 2018, the aim of PDHPE is to enable students to develop the knowledge, understanding, skills, values, and attitudes required to lead and promote healthy, safe, and active lives. This brings me to the objectives within the syllabus. You can see that the objective of the subject is a lot more than being able to do the physical, technical skills demanded of sport. It involves developing skills and knowledge and attitudes towards being a respectful individual that have interpersonal skills, can self-manage themselves, have resilience, build their sense of their own personal identity. It involves having strategy, having problem-solving skills, decision-making skills. It is a lot more than just being able to throw and catch a ball. PDHPE, according to Bailey in 2005, also suggests that physical activity has many positive effects. It can have positive effects on self-concept, self-esteem, mental health, and the cognitive and academic development of students. What it means to be physically educated is continually changing. As we can see from the objectives within the syllabus, and as Light and a couple of friends said in 2014, what it means to be physically educated is to include how to learn and how to live in society. Students learning about themselves and forming personal identity. That is what PDHPE is all about. An effective approach to teach PDHPE or PE is that of the game sense approach. It is the student-centered, inquiry-based strategy. It's a strategy that takes games and gameplay, as long as technique and skills, puts them together and makes it less demanding on individuals that would not be ideally the sporty kid. It is a very inclusive approach. According to Light and his friends in 2014, it reduces the technical demands on students. It develops skills within a game situation while also developing technical awareness as the game's complexity progresses. It is essentially learning through gameplay. It allows students to better connect, according to Miller in 2016, with both the physical and cognitive skills within the demands of a game. Curry in 2013 said that the skills are then being able to be performed in a more enjoyable context. It's a fun approach to developing a range of skills. The game sense approach very much is about learning within social interactions. There's a lot of non-verbal and verbal interactions that happen throughout games. It is a great way for children to learn. It's a great way for them to stop and reflect and have discussions about what's the best way forward within the game context. This brings me to my first personal reflection that happened within week 1, our first tutorial. In this class, we talked about different things affecting pre-service teachers teaching PDHPE. We saw the different and discussed the different attitudes and beliefs within our peer group cohort. So a couple of the issues that are still evident within literature, such as Rayner and Jarvis in 2021, said that teachers feel inadequately prepared to teach PE. This is still happening today. This is very much because we take our childhood experiences of PE with us, and that influences how we teach PE. So if you had a bad experience, you might take that into it. Or if your experience was drills perfection or performative way where there was sporty kids and there was non-sporty kids and certain children got preferential treatment, that's how you might have that negative attitude going into it. Another thing that is very much a problem within PDHPE, according to Curry and in 2013, is that the extent of the curriculum and the pressures and the hours spent on each key learning area. A lot of teachers feel they can't fit it all in. English and maths is very much put preferential over PDHPE. It's important to understand that PDHPE is important in many different ways. The barriers for PDHPE very much is teacher confidence, time, facilities, resources, and continual interest from teachers and students. All right, our first practical, we did basketball. I personally have a lot of experience with basketball, so I don't know if I learnt little tips and tricks in terms of teaching. I do Aussie hoops on the weekend and stuff like that. Something that I picked up was that it's important to continually modify games based on children's level. This is something also evident within the game sense approach. When you're outside and you're teaching PE, don't have the kids face the sun. This is something I had never really thought of. Also having that reset meeting point to have the kids reset and have a spot to talk where you don't have the noise and the loudness going on in the background. The second practical, this was our first AFL practical. I learnt a lot because I could see how the game sense approach, which the AFL curriculum that they had created was based on, could really be used within a classroom context. So something that I really got from that was the kids make the rules within games, giving them that ability to be creative. Welch and some mates in 2021 said that creating learning opportunities describes as those that support creative thinking through dance, making, games, creation and technique and refinement. Primary school PE has great potential for fostering creativity. This is something that's also evident with the syllabus in NESA 2018, where they mention creativity, confidence, and being competent within the rationale. It's important to be engaging, having those silly moments, or relating to the kids with the marks. They would say, do a teddy bear mark, do a zombie mark, do a Superman mark. Kids are going to be more engaged with that sort of process. Something also important was the whole modifications, the change it. So it's important that things change progressively to more complex, to increase the tactics and the skills, and to suit the needs of students' abilities within things. This all came from Light in 2014. So the AFL approach to change it or adapt and modify the game, you might change how to score or win, adjust or remove things. You might make the area bigger or smaller. You might have more team members. You might change the rules or have different equipment. You might include everyone. You might include a couple people, or you might change the time. These are all ways that you could modify or change the game to make it harder or easier. The second AFL tutorial practical that we had, again, went over the change it principles. We played some more games. Some of the games are very similar to other games that have been played in other sports. So the game we had with the cones where we all raced to flip them over is something we do in basketball as well, and we call that mountain and molehills. It was great to see how everyone got a little bit competitive and how the AFL coaches were questioning us and changing things as we went to try and make us think of strategies and ways and to problem solve and have that cognitive sort of things that is evident within game sense and within what they want from the PDHPE syllabus. Something that we went through that week also was how to teach. What are different ways and different things we can do to teach PDHP or the games, and how are you going to show that to students so they understand how and what they're doing? So something that was really evident within all the different groups that performed was that demonstration was a key thing that needed to be done. Having instruction that was clear and concise and not overdoing it. Having a meeting point as well, because we had the volleyball and everything in the background. Having that meeting point and being able to come in closer to be able to hear everyone was also made a big difference. I know in my group, something that became evident was when we had people kicking the ball into the goals. And at first we were like, oh yes, you have to run around the outside. But we didn't realise if you're still running around the outside but you've gone in the goal to get it, people are kicking the ball at you. So then we had to adjust again and say you can't kick until we say you can kick. We also had to modify the game where we added an extra skill in where you would have to handball the pass to your teammate before they could kick. Something else that the AFL coaches mentioned to us was what was something that all teachers, or the worst thing that teachers don't really, or they struggle with, and that was assessment. So they showed us their assessment rubric and the capabilities of their program that would have within a school. They told us the importance of it and told us that it's something you have to do consistently. It's great that they have that, and it's something that I definitely think I will use in the future as a teacher. Throughout this semester within this PDHP subject, I feel like I have learnt a lot. I learnt a lot from the first assignment and the idea of social construction within the classroom. It's not something I had ever really thought of before, that those sort of beliefs and biases can come into play as a teacher. I've always had such a great experience within PDHP, but then I started to think about different things that did affect me, where I didn't end up participating in certain sports even though I was a sporty kid, and a lot of that probably has to do with those social constructions and different things like that. I've also learnt the absolute great thing that is the game sense approach. It's something that the AFL used. It's something that they use in Aussie Hoops basketball that I've coached. And it just goes to show that's such a much better way to teach children to participate in sport, to lead that sort of healthy lifestyle, to see that they are worth more than just that physical aspect, and that the mind plays a big part in sport as well. After going through this subject and the tutorials and practicals, I can definitely see myself teaching AFL as a area for students. I can also see myself teaching a different range of sports due to the fact that everything could be modified to a different sport. I feel quite confident in teaching PDHP in the future due to not only my background but what I have learnt throughout this unit. Thank you for listening.